Welcome to the Driving the World podcast series. I'm your host, Cully Holland. Today we have Colton Edge, an application and product engineer from our corporate electronics group, and we will be discussing our MOVIMOTs and the MOVI-C generation. Hey, Colton, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, Cully, glad to be here. Thanks for finally having me.
I know it's been way too long, but we finally made it happen. So today we're going to be talking about the MOVIMOT, one of our decentralized controllers in our MOVI-C family. So do we just have one MOVIMOT, or kind of how does the MOVIMOT work now?
No, so a lot of people may be familiar with our old MOVI-MOT line where we had the decentralized inverter directly on the motor itself. Or there was an option where you can mount it off to the side. Well, so what we've done is we've actually broken it up into three separate devices.
All right. So what do we got?
So first, we'll start with what most people are probably familiar with, which is what we now call a MOVI-MOT Advanced. That's the decentralized inverter mounted directly onto an asynchronous motor.
Okay, so we got the asynchronous motor, and you said in our previous generation you could mount it away from the motor a little bit. I'm hoping we didn't lose that.
No, definitely not. So for some of your tighter applications where you may not want the inverter or you may not have space for the inverter directly on the motor, we now have a remote mount option, which is what we call MOVI-MOT Flexible.
Very cool. So we got 2 out of 3. What's the third one? I'm assuming this one's a little new to us.
It is. So what we've done is we now actually take the same electronics and we put it on top of a permanent magnet motor, so that now we're on a synchronous motor, and we have the MOVI-MOT Performance.
Fantastic. So we got the MOVIMOT Flexible, MOVIMOT Advanced, the MOVIMOT Performance. Those are kind of our 3 MOVIMOTs in the MOVI-C family. Are there any advantages or anything that makes them unique with the motors they go on between the 3?
So really what you're going to be looking at is what are the advantages of the motor itself. So do you need higher power but maybe less precision? You're going to go maybe with a MOVI-MOT Advanced for that asynchronous motor. Do you need super high precision? Then just like normal, you're going to go with a servo motor, and so now you'll have the MOVI-MOT Performance.
Very cool. So I think before we had a horsepower range. I can't remember it off the top of my head. You might be able to help me out. But are we staying in that same horsepower range, or has it become improved?
Yes and no. So before it was half of a horsepower up to 5.4 horsepower.
Okay.
And what we've done is we've actually expanded that so that now all of our decentralized products with this these same electronics can go up to 10 horsepower.
Okay. That's awesome. So almost doubled the horsepower size, but
Exactly. Yeah.
keeping it down all the way to the half horsepower. And I know something that was common, may have been liked, may not have been liked about our MOVIMOT D is it had a ton of options and it had a ton of accessories. Did we keep all those options and accessories, or kind of how did we manage that moving forward into these MOVIMOT Flexibles, advances, and performances?
So that's the great thing. If you're familiar with our old MOVI-MOTs that we had, one of the biggest, I don't want to say drawbacks, but one of the biggest thing about them is that they needed some form of external 24 volts. That was one of the biggest options that we had. What we've done now is we've actually integrated it directly into the electronics itself. So now you can derive your 24 volts DC from your 480 volts AC without the need for a external 24 volt power supply. However, if you do want external 24 volts as a backup or something, you can also do that as well.
So we haven't taken away any options. If anything, we just went ahead and included them, built them in, and just went ahead and gave them to our customers so they didn't forget anything.
Exactly, yeah. And another one is back in the old generation we had a set point directly on the inverter itself right there. Well, now we've incorporated that as a keypad, and so it's a much cleaner look. You get a little bit more functionality. There's some options with the keypads that you can go there's a few different keypads you can choose from. So whatever you need, we typically have an option for it.
Awesome. I always love to hear that our customers aren't losing anything. They're just getting a new, improved, hopefully more functional version of what they were used to. So, with these 3, is there anything else that really differentiates them? I mean, I would imagine if we have 3 different styles, are they 3 different inverters or 3 different lids or whatever going on top of these units?
Well, that's the great thing is that now what we've done is we've taken all of these different applications and combined them into a single inverter. So now you can just mount it on either a asynchronous motor. You can take that same e-cover and mount it onto a servo motor, and it'll work the same. There's a couple, setup options you might have to go through, but you can also take it and mount it on the MOVIMOT flexible base, and you can have the same functionality between the two or between the three.
So these are e-covers, what they are now in our MOVI-C version. And I don't know about you, but that sounds like a whole other podcast we could do.
I agree. Yeah.
So is there anything else you want to add on the flexible, the advanced, or performance before we get you back and talk about these e-covers?
Aside from just some small option differences between the MOVIMOT flexible and the MOVIMOT advanced will have a disconnect option. MOVIMOT performance may not, but other than that, everything has been covered.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Definitely.